Hi, I am Nick D. Clements, and I have another tradition to share with you. Now, this one is probably one that a lot of people practice, but maybe not in quite the same way. But that is the tradition of advent calendars, or as I always called them, countdown boxes. Now, whether you're religious or not, a countdown box advent calendar is a really great way to count down the days before Christmas. It can be something just simple and fun, or it can also be a really great teaching tool. And we'll get into a few examples of that a little bit later. Now, when all the Christmas products start hitting the stores, you can usually find these pretty much everywhere. They're just cardboard boxes and they have 24 cutouts on them, and every day up until Christmas you open a box and there's a piece of chocolate or candy in them. Some have better chocolate than others. Excuse me. Ugh. But it's not always about the candy or what you get. Sometimes it's just about putting yourself in the Christmas spirit and just having something to look forward to do every day. Some of them don't even have candy. A lot of times they're just a little picture. But sometimes there was something even more than candy. In fact, the very first countdown box that I ever had when I was around 4 or 5 were actually made of these little boxes. It was a whole big tower of them, probably around this high with 24. I have quite a few more of them, but these are the only two I could find. Day 6 and day 9. But if memory serves, it acted like a dispenser, I think. I think you pulled the bottom box out and the whole thing would drop down, and then whatever you could fit inside the box could be your gift that day. And again, it was just little things, little trinkets or a little toy or candy. However, story goes, one day, probably not too far into countdown, I opened my box and out came a thing of chapstick. Well, I was a little brat, and I did not appreciate the chapstick. Well, good thing, maybe not in my eyes at that point, but my mom wasn't gonna put up with that kind of attitude, so that was it for countdown for that year. However, instead of just canceling it outright, she decided that instead of countdown, every day I had to do a good deed.
Hello.
Hello.
What can I do for you?
Do you remember any examples of the good deeds I did or had to do?
No. I mean, I didn't make you do a lot. Like, maybe the dishes probably, taking out the trash. I mean, you were little.
Yeah.
I do remember some help playing with Christopher, like getting him a toy. But just thinking of others and being kind.
Which is something you should do all the time anyway.
Well, yes, but we made a special point of, so maybe shoveling the snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't come up with specifics. I just know, and I feel like we called it a good deed.
Mm-hmm.
Do something of kindness. I mean, I remember talking to you. I was way more upset than you were. Because I had all these gifts.
Mm-hmm.
That, and I wanted you to have them. So that's a hard part of parenting is because it's not about the parent, it's about the kid. But so often parents make it about them and what they want. So it's in my brain. If something comes up, I'll give you a call.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
All right. Good luck.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I just got a text. She said, I do remember that it had to be something you thought of. It wasn't something that Dad or I told you to do. You had to come up with the good deed on your own each day. So yeah, doing good deeds instead of getting gifts that, well, I wasn't appreciative of anyway. And I think this whole event also led to another conversation that I vividly remember, where before we went to our big family Christmas, I was sat down and I was told to, even if I get a big bowl of fruit, be appreciative of it and say thank you. It doesn't matter what it is, it's the fact that they gave you something. So even if I wasn't, I was to act appreciative and be thankful for what I got. Thankfully, none of my relatives gave me big bowls of fruit. In fact, I remember getting a lot of really cool gifts from my relatives. But as you can see, countdown was a good way for my parents to instill some good values in me. Now, I think these boxes were used for a couple of years. I also have a few of these different boxes that are definitely countdown boxes, 14, 7, and 6. I don't quite remember this one as much. I'm not sure if it was probably only used for 1 year, or maybe it wasn't even the main countdown box. Maybe it was just something else, but it was definitely a countdown box and the same kind of concept where it's a little box that you open up and there's a little gift inside. Eventually this, especially after my younger brother was born, became our countdown box, the one we look forward to seeing every Christmas. Now they're just simple little doors that open up. It's fairly deep, so you can fit a few pieces of candy or something in there. However, my mom had 3 boys that she had to put gifts for in there. So that's when she came up with the idea of doing riddles. So each day, when we'd open a door, instead of finding candy or a small toy, we'd find little pieces of paper. Red for my older brother, green for my younger brother, and white for me. And on it would be a rhyme, a riddle, that my mom would write every morning. And if we solved the riddle, it would lead us to someplace in the house where a gift was hidden for us. And this became our tradition. Every morning for 24 days up until Christmas, we got to solve a riddle, do a little scavenger hunt every morning to try and find our gift. It was so much fun and such a great way to do countdown, especially when you have more than one kid that you need to do it for. Now, aside from still having the actual countdown boxes, I still have some of the things that I received in the countdown boxes. 1 year, I received this nativity. Every day, I got a new character, a wise man, little baby Jeebus. Joseph lost his halo. We glued it on a few times, but he's still searching for it. My dad made this manger. There's holes in here where you can take a branch from outside and actually stick it down in there so you can have live trees. Now there's probably a few pieces that have gone missing over the years, but the majority of it, what you see here, has lasted throughout the years, and I pull it out every year and set it up. Usually add quite a few more figures in, and nativities are always just kind of fun to just have random characters show in. Usually Stan from South Park is the angel in one form or another, but these are getting quite old at this point, but these were a countdown gift, and I've always kept them. Another countdown gift I still have is this tiny miniature train set. And this thing is so cool. There is so much detail. The wheels actually move. The rods actually pivot around. I mean, this thing is so cool. I mean, obviously, I've lost some track over the years. I can't make a full loop anymore. I've lost a few cars. But every day for Countdown, I got a new piece of the train set. And a majority of it has survived all of these years. Probably close to 2 decades old. And I keep all of this with the Christmas stuff, so it's nice and safe and sound, and every year at Christmas time I pull it out and set it up with the Christmas decorations. Just another great countdown memory I have. I remember loving this so much, and I still do. These are such cool train pieces. You know, these are things that I got as just little trinkets in a little countdown box, but they meant so much, and I've saved them all of these years. Now, it was quite a lot of work for my mom. Not only did she have to buy 72 separate gifts, wrap 72 separate gifts, find a different hiding place for each gift every morning, figure out a riddle that clued you into where it was hiding each morning, and making it rhyme, but that's the kind of mom she was. And as you can see, it's something I've always remembered. I've never really stopped doing it. She did it for me well into my adulthood. Even when I had moved out and had my own house, I would still come back every single day throughout December to do Countdown. And it wasn't until I met Lisa and we started doing Countdown for each other that my mom finally stopped doing it for me. But they still hang it up every year, and now my parents do Countdown for each other. So in 2011, my first Christmas with Lisa, I made and gave her this. A countdown box. Now, I wasn't just giving her this countdown box, this advent calendars. I was giving her the tradition of countdown boxes that I had throughout my whole life. Something that I wanted to share with her in our relationship going forward. Being able to to do this with one another each year. Now with my countdown box, I went with a 5x5 layout, so it's more square and it gives you day 25. On my childhood one, it was an 8x3 layout, which only does 24. And the other big thing that I wanted to do with my design for a countdown box was have it actually help you count down. This one, some days you wouldn't really know which day it was. It doesn't really help you know when you've done a day. So instead of doing a door that flipped up, I decided to do a door that rotates. And this way you can turn each day to the other side and mark off that day. And for this design, I've done snowflakes, and they're all embossed on there, which is a process with embossing stamps and embossing liquid and glitter. But as you can see, it's really easy to just open each day and flip it over, and you can look at it and know which day you're on. I think that's a really great upgrade to this type of countdown box. Now this is actually the second countdown box like this that I've made. The first one I made a few years prior for a friend's daughter, and on that one I did the same thing where I have these rotating doors. However, I just attached them with a piece of thread, and that works okay, except if you turn the door too many times in the same direction, the thread will start getting wound up too much and get really tight, or it could snap off. So for this design, I came up with this ball and joint idea, where I have a bead that's captured in the wood on a dowel connected to the door. So it's a very rigid connection, and you can rotate the door as many times as you want. And this worked out really, really well, and I'm really pleased with this design. And also with this design, I wanted to do something a bit bigger, make some bigger cubbies so you actually could put a small toy or something substantial inside each door. And for day 25, instead of a snowflake, I found this little Christmas tree stamp. So it says Merry Christmas, and I added a bit of color, just a little bit of different variation on the day 25 day. Now the first year in 2011, when I gave it to her, it was pretty simple. I just put some candy pieces in there, and each day, instead of a clue, leading to a gift somewhere else, I actually just made paper bracelets with something special written on them that she could wear each day. She ended up just making a big paper chain with them all, but that was the idea. The next year, 2012, we were still living apart, but we decided to do countdown for each other, and basically we just gave each other a big box of gifts at the beginning of December, and then each day we'd pull out the gift. Now, along with the big box of gifts that I gave her, I still wanted her to have a reason to go to the box each day, other than just flipping it over. So for each box, I made a tiny little envelope inside containing a tiny little card, and then when she collected all of the cards, it read off a little poem that I had written for her. And along with the card, I made her a puzzle. So each day she got a puzzle piece. And then by the end of the 25 days, she could complete the puzzle, which was just a picture we had taken earlier that summer. And each little card was handmade, and I had to cut out each little envelope. But she saved them, the cards at least, and it's a pretty cute little envelope. So the next year, I wanted to continue with the idea of putting a gift in each box in addition to the big box of gifts. But this year I had the idea to make what was in each day clue into what gift she was allowed to open. The previous year I just numbered each gift 1 through 24 or 25. But this year I decided to do kind of a matching game. I'd picked up a pack of dominoes at the dollar store, so I basically made a My Little Pony domino set. And I can't quite remember. I think either each day there was a My Little Pony domino in the box, and then she had to find the matching one on the gift, or I used the dominoes as a way to say which number gift. Yeah, I think that was the way, because here is a 13 domino. So But basically that was the idea. Each day she kind of had to solve a little puzzle with these dominoes to figure out which gift she was supposed to open. 2014, another My Little Pony thing, I found a My Little Pony memory game. And so this was perfect. So every day I put in a card in each box and then the matching card on the gift. So that was quite simple. She just had to pull out the card and then find the matching card on the gift, and then she'd know she could open that one on that day. So not really my most creative way of doing it, but it did start to solidify the tradition as far as having something in the box deem what she would open. Now quickly, a bonus tradition, a tradition with inner tradition, traditionception. The first year for the day 25 gift, I got her a dragon, and I kind of wanted to make that the tradition. Each day 25 gift would be a plastic dragon. As I said, the next year I themed all of the gifts around My Little Pony. So fitting a dragon in on day 25 really wasn't going to make sense unless the dragon was My Little Pony too. And thus the cosplay dragon was born. I basically made a Rainbow Dash costume for this dragon, and she found it absolutely hilarious. So the next year, 2013, I dressed her up as another cosplay that Lisa had done, Anna from Frozen. And then 2016, I did a drama leech from Final Fantasy 12. This one was a bit of an inside joke, but that one was pretty funny to do. 2017, we took the year off from everything, but then 2018, I did a Falconer Dragon, and I think by far that one is probably the coolest. I put a whole bunch of really cool little details, even these tiny little prickers on her brush pants, which after a good hunt, she's always covered in. So that one was a whole lot of fun. And doing these cosplay dragons is another super fun tradition. And these are so much fun to do, especially once I really get into it, because at first it's like, how in the world am I gonna make this tiny costume for this rigid plastic dragon? And then I just start getting into it, and then I throw in all of these fun details, especially with the Falconer Dragon, thinking of all the little things like the hat and the camera and the whistle. But it's also a really freeing thing because it's cosplay dragon, and cosplay can be crappy sometimes. So if it doesn't come out great, it's okay, because it's a dragon that made a costume for itself. So I think it's okay for it to look kind of ridiculous, but so far they've all been okay. Everything is removable too. A lot of it's just held on with these tiny black rubber bands, but nothing's like glued on permanently. So it really is a costume, and all of these things can be completely taken off. That's just another really fun side tradition that came from the tradition of a countdown box. So this thing can just lead to so many other great fun things. But anyway, bonus tradition. 2015, year of the snow geese. So every day she got a little Snowgie figure, and I made these by casting an original, and then these were actually casted with hot glue. This is when I was first getting into mold making and cast making, and I didn't really know about the right casting material, but I had the molding material, so I made a silicone mold of a couple of snow geese, and then I actually just molded them using hot glue, which worked okay. So I made this snow mound. Now unfortunately the mound is not all metal. They stick on here with magnets, but you have to find where the magnets are. You kind of have to walk them around until they stick, but if you can't find an open magnet, they also stick on top of each other. So this is a fun little thing. But the way that this told her which gift she could open is that with each Snowgie that she would get out of the box each day, they had a letter. So every day she was completing this banner, but the letter also corresponded to a letter on a gift. And then that would mean she could open that gift. For day 5, she would have gotten an A. and she could find a gift with an A on it and open that gift. This was a really fun, interactive one, and this was really cool to do. So she got the base on day 1, and then she could get a Snowgie each day, find out where they could go, and then build up the scene, and then build up the banner, all the while knowing what gift she could open. So I had a lot of fun doing that one. 2016 was a big one. I made her this. And this whole thing was just a way for her to find out which gift that she could open. It's a falconry shadow box. So every day she would open a box and she would get a bird of prey. And this whole back thing is magnetic. So she can build up a scene with all these different birds of prey. She got a figure of herself and just a whole bunch of birds, each with an embedded magnet. So this one was a ton of work, but it's a ton of fun. Now, the way that she figured out which gift she could open, she was studying for her falconry exam at the time. So I made her a micro falconry study guide. So along with her bird each day, she got a page from the study guide. And to know which gift she had to open, she had to answer the question. So in the box was all of the questions, and then on the gifts were all of the answers. And then on the gifts, they were a sticker, so then she could take the answer off and put it on the study guide, and by the end of the countdown season, she had a little mini study guide with all the questions and answers. So basically little flashcards. So this one was a whole lot of fun. And it also has, so the background comes out. You can see I have just metal trays in the back, so no matter where you put it, they're always gonna stick. And so you can flip it around for a different scene on the back, or pull out the Falconry Shadow Box Interactive Magnetic Cutout Frame Background Expansion Pack. And in this box, which is actually a really, really nice box, it's kind of ridiculous how nice this box came out. There is a whole bunch of printed backgrounds. There are a whole bunch of printed backgrounds that I have made. Farmhouse, a wintry scene, a wooded area. That's the Bird of Prey stage, jousting arena at the Renaissance Festival. Another wooded area with a big tree where you could put a whole bunch of birds on the trees. Just something that you can really have a whole bunch of fun with. And so I had so much fun making this, and it was just such a cool way to tell her which gift she could open. So 2016 was a really good one. So much so, 2017, we actually kind of took the year off. We hadn't really gotten each other any gifts for that year, for Countdown specifically, and I didn't have any ideas, so we both decided, let's take a year off. So for this year, last year, 2018, I will tell you in a future video. I will give you a hint. It involves a microwave. But that's Countdown. That's how the Advent calendar has played a pretty big role in my life, or at least my holiday season. I really think it's a wonderful thing. You can really see all of the creativity that has come out of this tradition, all of the things that I have done and cool ideas that I have come up with. And as I said, this is the second box I made, so I've passed this tradition on to others. And this Christmas, I did it again. I made a third Countdown box, very much similar to this one, but designed for my niece. She's around 3 years old, and I thought it was a great time to enter this tradition into her life. So next year, she'll be about the same age that I was when I had my first Countdown. And it was just something that I really wanted to pass on to her. She's my only niece, and even when she was first born, I kind of knew in the back of my mind that at some point I was going to be making her one. And I filmed the whole thing, so very soon I'll be showing you pretty much how this box was built. I made it in pretty much the same way, but I changed a few things, and so you can look forward to seeing that. But I really hope you enjoyed seeing all this, seeing what this tradition can be. It can be so much more than just a tiny gift in a box. It can mean so much more. It can mean so many things, and you're really limited only by your imagination. But yeah, I look forward to doing it for many years into the future, and it's always a joy when I can pass this tradition on to someone else, whether just telling them about it or by actually building and giving them a countdown box. So my sincere thank you for watching. Once again, I am Nick D. Clements. If you're wondering, Nick is short for Nicholas, and the D stands for doors. Anyway, I'm off to make something else. And Lisa and I still do these cardboard ones each year because they're fun. And then I just save them each year because there's some cool molds in here, you know? One day I might need to make a blobby bell thing.